This video is brought to you by bad quality microphones. You know, like the one that I'm using. That's like a phallic appendage on the headphones. For the past couple of years, we've gotten more anime every season than we can possibly watch. So I, Kai Shi, your friendly neighborhood degenerate, took it upon myself to watch every single anime this season. Every single anime. Just wanted to emphasize that. And pick out 10 anime that you should be investing your time in this season. A couple of pointers though. The anime that are continued from the last season, as well as new seasons of previously aired anime, will not be on this list. But fret not, me hearties. I shall talk about those, along with some bad ones, at the end of the video, so stick around! You've had cute girls doing cute things in high school. You've had cute girls doing cute things at home. You've had cute girls doing cute things in a post-apocalyptic world. You've had cute girls doing depressing things in magical realms. And you've had cute girls doing questionable things in... Wait a minute. I'm all out of coffee. And now, Silver Link proudly presents cute girls doing cute things in Sword Art Online. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense is an anime whose premise is pretty self-explanatory. Honjo Kaide, or Maple, starts playing a VR MMO, aptly named New World Online, and it's not Log Horizon. And since she is too scared to get hurt, she decides to upgrade her defense and defense only by paying the huge price of walking slowly. I gotta admit, when I started the first episode, I thought it would be another moe slice of life that we've seen 1,000 times before, but contrary to my initial impression, it was in fact genuinely refreshing. And by the end of the episode, I had a big smile on my face. And Maple is just so precious. She deserves nothing less than a big, fat... FBI, open up! head pat. And the way she defeats the dragon at the end of the first episode is probably the most moe-est thing I've ever seen. And even if it turns into a generic moe slice of life, I'm cool with that, because watching Maple stumble through that game is totally worth it. She's like the anti-One Punch Man with maxed out defense instead of offense and, you know, hair. Next up we got Infinite Dendrogram, which is a love letter to MMO fans. Let me be blunt, this anime does nothing new. Or should I say, it doesn't try to go out of its way to do something that hasn't been done before. Which is something a lot of MMO-based anime suffer from. They add a new gimmick to their otherwise bland and sometimes undercooked premise that we've already seen 1,000 times before, and focus almost entirely on that gimmick rather than doing believable world building or telling a compelling story. Infinite Dendrogram, however, does nothing of the sorts, which might come off as a big no-no on paper, but is actually a good thing in practice because of its stellar execution. Everything it does with detail and depth and fleshes it out so much that it comes off as something fresh and new. That is the reason I was able to sit through a lot, and I mean a lot, of expository scenes where our main character sits on a table with friends eating cake and drinking tea. On a side note, I really hate those kind of expository scenes where the main character sits around on a table with friends eating cake and drinking tea. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of Infinite Dendrogram is, well, Infinite Dendrogram. The game, I mean. Like it says in the title, it has infinite possibilities, with the player enjoying complete freedom over their actions, whether they be good or bad. Even being able to have lasting effects on the game world itself. For example, if you fail a quest and that results in the death of an NPC, they stay dead. Like, permanently. They don't respawn, they're gone from the game forever. On top of that, it also manages to subvert a couple of tropes along the way. For example, in the very first episode, our main character, Mukudori Reiji, or Ray Starling as he's known in the game, runs into a beautiful girl clad in all white while turning a corner. Potential love interest, you say? Nope. That is an NPC. And talking about love interest, there is no romantic subplot at the moment, which is, again, a good thing because we always got time for romance later. Let's just focus on the world building for now. But Kaishi, you might ask, aren't you overselling this anime a bit? You make it sound like it's the best anime of this season. Well, allow me to retort. It is not without flaws. One of those is the aforementioned excess of expository scenes, and the second is the lack of an overarching plot. I know it could be too early for that, but I've seen all 4 episodes that are out at the time of writing this, and I know that can change in the future, and if it happens, my opinion of it will also change in the future. But at the moment, it's like a beautiful canvas, just without the painting. Man, talk about underselling. Oh, and most importantly, in an anime filled with all kinds of waifus, from cute bubbly nemesis to sultry succubus Babylon, and I'm sure there are more to come in the future, the cutest character is the big brother in a bear costume. And that was not a sarcastic statement. And as a cherry on top, we also get a sword waifu, and I do not mean a stolfo. Jewelry, the physical manifestation of beauty, elegance, and social status. The object of desire of women across the globe, because wearing a jewel is an important part of the appearance of any woman. This anime is nothing like that. In fact, it's about solving cases and old mysteries related to jewels. That was not a good start, was it? The case files of jeweler Richard is the story of 2 bright young men. The handsome British jeweler named Richard Ranashina Dvorpian, which is probably the least British name I've ever heard, and a Japanese college student and all-around Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, Nakata Seigi. And like I said, it's about solving mysteries involving some jewelry and its owner. Now, I don't want to ruin all of the stuff that happens in the first episode, so I'll avoid talking about any plot points here. Instead, I'll talk about the 2 lead characters. Richard is cool-minded, honest, and mostly quiet. In other words, Kudere of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag best girl, no homo. And Seigi, even though he's shown to be as good-natured as a shonen protagonist, doesn't come off as naive or gullible. Think older Midoriya, but without the giddy optimism and, the quirk. Obviously. And I love the way the 2 bounce off each other. Seigi's straightforward and at times loud behavior against Richard's calm demeanor is something I enjoyed more than I thought I will. And now there's just one thing that I'm waiting for. The yaoi. No homo. I wonder if anything like that will happen. I mean, it's only a matter of time. It's a shoujo manga. I wonder if there are already some doujins. Oh, I found some. Excuse me for a minute. Next up is Darwin's Game. Darwin's Game is this season's Mirai Nikki, but with cell phones instead of diaries. Wait a minute. Darwin's Game is this season's Mirai Nikki, but with a mobile game instead of mobile diaries. Our main character, Pseudo Kaname, gets an invite to a game from a dying classmate. He unknowingly accepts and is pitted against a panda in a fight to the death. A panda who can become invisible. Pseudo Kaname also gets the power to conjure any object from thin air. And it gets weirder and more awesome from that point. Darwin's Game is a solid anime with fine looking animation and an intriguing premise to boot. There are 2 fights in the first episode and they are stellar. But we all know where death anime go from the first episode onward. It's not like a lot of them are different from each other. Every time I watch one, I'm like, yeah, I know what's gonna happen. Next, please. Death battle anime in general suffer from 2 things mostly. Dumb writing and edge. And quite frankly, I don't see either of those here. So far, for me at least, the mystery surrounding the game and the tech behind it is one of the most intriguing aspects of the anime. I really want to know how this works. And this better be a science fiction thing, because I am done with death battle and the supernatural being in a forced awkward relationship, and if it isn't science fiction, well then I'm gonna be sorely disappointed. That being said, I don't really see anything special in this anime either. It's more like a, oh hello! What, she's using blades of chaos? Who are you? Genderbent lolly Kratos? Oh, okay. She's badass, I'll give her that. Oh, and she's a psychopath too. And she's cute. And she's thirsty AF. What is happening? Is that goth lolly fashion? Is she wearing gothic Lolita fashion? Oh my god! That's it, 10 out of 10, best anime ever. Next up is Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun. It's based on a Japanese urban legend of Hanako-san, the spirit of a young girl who haunts school bathrooms. Yashiro Nene, a bubbly high school girl, ventures into the haunted bathroom in order to summon Hanako-san and get one wish. But the Hanako-san she meets is a boy, who turns out to be a very well-written character actually. Nene, along with Minamoto Ko, are also interesting characters, and I can't wait to see them develop further. The art style and animation of Hanako-kun are out of this world. It's like watching a manga come to life with a vibrant and saturated color palette. The voice acting is also amazing, especially Ogata Megumi, who voices Hanako-kun, is particularly excellent. I've also heard that the manga goes to some really dark places, and I'm really looking forward to that. I also had a long internal debate as to who was the cutest and most precious character this season, Maple or Nene, until I realized it was Shu Starling all along. Next up is Dorohedoro, which is the sad story of a misunderstood disfigured man who just wants to cuddle.
What a fucking
hugger.
If you think Darwin's Game is a weird anime, then buckle up, degenerates. You're in for a ride. Weird is the name of the game here. The story is set in a dark, rickety, rundown district called Hole, a realm of the weak. Magic users who occupy the highest status in society visit Hole on a daily basis to wreak havoc on its inhabitants. Our main character, Kaiman, who's basically Okuyasu with the head of a gator, is even voiced by the same seiyuu, is searching for the magic user who left him in this state. Oh, and he's immune to magic, and he also has amnesia. Oh, and there's a guy that lives inside his throat, who can only be seen by his unlucky victims when he chomps down on their heads. Did I mention there's a guy that lives inside his throat? Yeah, there's a guy that lives inside his throat. There's a guy that lives inside his freaking throat! Dorohedoro doesn't try to explain every little thing that happens. Any exposition that's given is subtle and doesn't feel ham-handed or out of place. In fact, in the first couple of episodes, it poses more questions than it bothers to answer, which in my book is a big yes. So far, the most delicious of these questions is the mystery of the world itself. It's not our world, obviously. It's another realm that we are not told a lot about, and my intrigue is at its peak. The art style and CG animation might come off as ugly and janky to some people. I mean, it's not Land of the Lustrous, but it really complements the cold, dark world and gives a lot more detail and life to the somewhat broken locations. Dorohedoro is one hell of an acid trip that is actually smarter than it's letting on. Unfortunately, it's not getting the kind of attention and love that it deserves. I wonder why. It has caught my attention, and I'm not letting this one go. Do you think I'm forgetting something? Let me tell you, I'm not forgetting anything, because there is no way in hell that I can forget about this funky ass opening, baby!
I'm extremely disappointed in you. And then you come in here and you treat this like a joke? Be quiet! That's what is wrong with you. Stop it! You go to bed at night, you lay there and you take responsibility for yourself.
Yep. That's pretty much it. That's the anime. Smile Down the Runway is also one of those anime that are way underappreciated. Fujiro Chiyuki is an aspiring fashion model whose dream is to represent her father's modeling agency at the Paris Fashion Week. One problem though, she is too short to be a professional model. To be quite honest, this anime was a surprise hit for me. Partly because of its really well-written characters, especially the supporting cast, with each and every one of them crafted to be a real three-dimensional person rather than a two-dimensional stereotype with a single defining characteristic. Believe me when I tell you, a lot of care and time has been given to these side characters. Looking at you, Tsumuro Ikuto. And character development is going to be one of the main focuses of the anime because it is a character-driven show, and partly because it brings a lot of heart to the table. I don't want to explain and ruin specific moments for you, so think a good shonen, but without all the screaming and punching. It already hits harder than many shonen anime, even without the screams, and the only thing that's missing is a tournament arc. Now, I know at this point you must be sick of hearing this, but Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is a love letter to animators and anime lovers all over the world. Masaki Yuasa, the genius behind shows such as Lu Over the Wall, Tatomi Galaxy, and Devilman Crybaby, proves once again that he can make any kind of anime. Whether it be not conventionally cute cute girls doing technical things or raunchy rave parties but with synth and existential crisis, and make it work, all the while giving us an almost different kind of animation every goddamn time that somehow retains his trademark style. Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken tells the story of 3 high school girls who want to make an anime of their own. 2 of them, Asakusa Midori and Mizusaki Tsubame, are in it because they love anime and actually have real talent for it. Kanamori Sayaka, however, is in it for the money, and to be quite frank, she is quickly becoming my favorite character of this season. Ironically, her stark, calculated approach, in contrast to the childlike optimism of the other 2, really brings a lot of life and realism to every episode. I feel I shouldn't talk a lot about this anime because there's a lot to talk about, and I gotta say, this one deserves its own video. I will just say that it reminds me of some OG anime from the golden years, such as Den-O Coil, and any anime that reminds me of Den-O Coil is a win in my book. Imagine if Silence of the Lambs and Minority Report had a baby, and it was raised by psychopaths. Then that baby would be Id Invaded. Seriously, there's no better way to describe this anime. Now, without ruining any of the events of the first episode, let me explain the events of the first episode. Our main character, Sakaido, the brilliant detective, wakes up in a disjointed world with a disjointed body without any memories, and has to piece everything together. Literally. Perhaps the best part about this anime is that it doesn't hold your hand along the way. It expects you to follow it, but at its own pace. But at the same time, it doesn't come off as rushed or overly complicated. What's complicated are the characters, morally grey and unpredictable. In the first few episodes, we've seen a supposedly bad person do something good, and a supposedly good person do something very, very questionable. Perhaps where it shines the most in terms of character writing is the portrayal of a certain group of people. Some you hate, some you sympathize with, but they all feel like real disturbed people, not one-dimensional villains. The art style, although not anything special, does its job well, but the animation is particularly excellent most of the time. The voice acting is especially amazing, and Tsuda Kenjiro is killing it as Sakaido. Honestly, I can only see it getting better and better with every episode, and I'm looking forward to it. Unless it pulls a Kato on us, please don't pull a Kato on us. Also, that ending is fire, people. Fire. This is totally my jam. Kyoko Suiri, or Inspector, is another amazing anime that not a lot of people are talking about. Iwanaga Kodoko, waifu of the season, was abducted by spirits called yokai when she was 11 and asked to become their goddess of wisdom, a sort of mediator between the spirit and the human world. She agrees and has been sorting out their issues for 6 years. The show is basically supernatural Sherlock Holmes, but with more emphasis on the characters rather than the cases. The voice acting is also amazing, with Mamoru freaking Miyano in the house, baby, but I gotta admit, Kido Akari as Kodoko takes the cake in this one. I really like the art style, and on the animation side of things, we've already gotten some really good looking sequences. Like I said, it's a show that focuses on characters and the retrospective study of said characters. The world of Kyoko Suiri, despite being populated by giant talking snakes, those spirit thingies from Mononoke Hime, and unbelievably busty idol ghost, feels like it has real weight to it. All in all, an awesome anime filled with mystery, wonder, and in general wholesomeness that is a must-watch this season. A couple of bonus anime, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly ones. Somali and the Forest Spirit is a really good anime and has a lot of potential to be truly wonderful and unique, but so far it has not done anything special for me. Despite its promising premise, it lacks something that is crucial to this kind of anime. The heart. I don't know how it can be possible that an anime about a soulless golem and a cutesy human child on a journey to find the child's home through a world populated by all kinds of magical creatures was not able to tug on my heartstrings. There's one scene in particular that really took me out of this anime. In a diner, one of the guys asks, "Remind me again, what happened to the humans?" As if that wouldn't be common knowledge in this world. And the other guy starts narrating a 1,000-word essay on the history of the the world. Are you kidding me? There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that takes me out of an anime faster than a scene of blatant exposition. Rikekoi is another potential contender for the top list this season. Let's just call it the number 11 of this list. It's basically Kaguya-sama 2.0 and asks the question, what would happen if the world's dumbest smart people fall in love? It's funny and surprisingly scientifically accurate, but be warned though, it involves some really unholy and not safe for work content, such as the kabedon, the chin lift, and, God forbid, hand holding. Hey, Nekopara just got its own anime. Let's see what that is about. Sorcerous Stabber Orphen is another anime that is not getting a lot of attention, which is a good thing because it is a piece of crap. The whole anime is disjointed, moves from one scene to another without any explanation. It just jumps from one set piece to another. That's the whole anime. What is this? Another wolf lolly? Another anime is trying to jump on the Sanko-san bandwagon, but at least the main character isn't dense. Hey, their teacher is a T-Rex. That's funny. And is the Seiyu actively trying to sound like Kinohina? Wait, it is Kinohina. Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm gonna go fangirl over this for a bit. If Eizuken is a love letter to animators, then Ishuzoku Reviewers is a love letter to critics. It dives deep into the world of analysis and criticism by telling the story of 3 enthusiastic men who have dedicated their lives to review prostitutes. They must have been like, dude, we heard you like hentai, so we put hentai in your hentai so you can hentai while you watch anime. Breakers takes on a topic that was until now unexplored in the world of anime: para-athletics. And then it wastes this opportunity by making it a bland, badly written, generic shonen, and it makes me sad. But nothing makes me more infuriated than this fresh fart that is getting a lot more praise than many other anime that deserve it, all the while blatantly ripping off other better anime and giving us the worst exposition dumping scenes in perhaps the history of anime. And I absolutely have to address this in detail in the future. In terms of returning anime, we have Puella Magi Madoka Magica Side Story, which is more Madoka Magica and is obviously a must-watch. We also get the 3rd season of the Better Than Index anime, and I'm rooting for the sister this time around. Haikyuu is also back, and I gotta say, these episodes leading up to the big event are the highest queue that Haikyuu has ever been. Well, that was it for me, ladies and degenerates. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Follow me on Twitter at @ThatKaishiBoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.